The restaurant smelled like burnt garlic and broken dreams. I wiped down the same table for the third time, my reflection barely visible in the scratched surface. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting everything in a sickly yellow glow that made even the younger waitresses look exhausted. At 23, I felt ancient here, like I'd been serving overpriced pasta and fake smiles for decades instead of just 18 months. My feet ached in shoes held together by duct tape hidden beneath frayed laces. The black uniform dress hung loose on my frame. I'd lost weight I couldn't afford to lose, skipping meals to send money back to my grandmother in Volgograd. Babushka's medication cost more each month, and the exchange rate kept getting worse. "Table 7 needs water," Marcus barked from behind the bar, not looking up from his phone. I grabbed the pitcher with hands that had forgotten what softness felt like. Rough. Cracked. The hands of someone who'd scrubbed too many dishes, carried too many trays, swallowed too many insults from customers who saw right through me, because that's what I was here, invisible. The other waitresses, born here, raised here, belonging here, they got the good tables, the businessmen who tipped well, the anniversary couples who ordered expensive wine. I got the stragglers, the complainers, the ones who'd leave crumpled singles or nothing at all. "Excuse me, miss." An older woman snapped her fingers at me like I was a dog. "This soup is cold." I'd brought it to her 60 seconds ago, steam rising from the bowl. But I smiled, that trained, hollow smile, and took it back to the kitchen without a word. Invisible. The evening shift dragged like it always did. My lower back screamed, my temples throbbed. I'd worked a double because Stephanie called in sick again, probably hungover at some party I'd never be invited to. Not that I wanted to go. By the time I got off work, I'd barely have energy to take the bus home to my studio apartment with its leaking ceiling and neighbors who fought until 3 a.m. This was my life. This was all my life would ever be. Then the door opened. The temperature in the room changed. I felt it before I saw anything. A shift in the air, like the moment before lightning strikes. Conversations didn't exactly stop, but they faltered, dimmed. Even the clink of silverware seemed to quiet. I looked up from the water pitcher I was refilling. 3 men entered. No. 2 men entered first, and they weren't really men so much as walls of muscle in dark suits. They moved with purpose, their eyes scanning the restaurant with mechanical precision. One touched his ear. An earpiece, I realized. Security. Then he walked in. I'd never believed in presence before. Charisma seemed like something people made up to explain why they let certain individuals get away with things. But watching this man cross the threshold of Antonio's family restaurant, I understood. He wore black. Everything black. The suit probably cost more than I'd make in a year. Perfectly tailored, expensive fabric that caught the light differently than anything I'd ever seen. His hair was dark, swept back, touched with gray at the temples, sharp jaw, severe features. He couldn't have been more than 40, but he carried himself with the authority of someone who'd spent lifetimes commanding others. And his eyes. God, his eyes. Even from across the room, I could see they were pale. Gray or blue, I couldn't tell. Cold. Calculating. The eyes of someone who'd looked at terrible things and done worse. One of the security men spoke quietly to Marcus, who'd suddenly straightened up like a soldier called to attention. Marcus nodded frantically, gesturing toward our best table. The corner booth that supposedly stayed reserved for the owner's friends, but somehow always sat empty. The man in black moved through the restaurant like he owned it. Maybe he did. People shifted in their seats without realizing it, making space, averting their eyes. Prey instinct. He settled into the corner booth where he could see both entrances. His guards positioned themselves nearby. One by the door, one near the kitchen. Not sitting, not eating, just watching. "Elena." Marcus grabbed my arm hard enough to bruise. His breath smelled like the cigarettes he wasn't supposed to smoke on shift. "That table. You take it." My stomach dropped. "What? But You speak Russian, right? You're Russian?" "Yes, but..." "Then get over there, now. And don't fuck this up." He shoved a menu into my hands and pushed me forward. My legs felt disconnected from my body as I walked toward the corner booth. The man sat perfectly still, looking at his phone. One of 3 phones lined up on the table like instruments of war. He didn't glance up as I approached. Up close, I could smell him. Not cologne exactly, though there was something expensive in the mix. Leather, smoke, something darker underneath, gunpowder. My imagination was running wild, but I couldn't shake the feeling that this man was dangerous, lethally so. "Good evening, sir." My voice came out steadier than I expected. Professional. The voice I used to disappear behind. "Can I get you English?" He interrupted without looking up. His accent was thick, Russian, but his English was clear. "You speak English?" Everyone in the restaurant could hear us. The silence was oppressive. "Yes, sir." I clutched the menu. "Can I get you something to drink?" He finally looked up. Those eyes locked onto mine, and I forgot how to breathe. Not gray, not blue. Somewhere between, like ice on deep water. And in that moment, I wasn't invisible. I was seen, completely, wholly. Stripped bare by a gaze that seemed to catalog every secret I'd ever kept. "Water," he said. "Vodka. Beluga Gold Line, if they have it. If not, I leave." "I'll check, sir." I turned to walk away, my heart hammering against my ribs. "Wait." The word stopped me cold. Command, not request. I turned back. He studied me with those terrible, beautiful eyes. One of his guards shifted, hand moving toward his jacket. The air grew heavier. "You are Russian." Not a question. A statement. I hesitated. Something told me lies wouldn't work on this man. "Yes, sir. From Volgograd." Something flickered across his face. Too fast to read. Volgograd. He pronounced it perfectly, with the rolling R and the soft consonants of home. Long way from Stalingrad. My throat tightened. No one here knew about Stalingrad, about the city's history, about the weight it carried. "Yes, sir." He leaned back, still watching me. "How long in America?" 3 years. "And you work here?" Disdain dripped from the word "here," like this restaurant personally offended him. "Yes, sir." He waved his hand dismissively. "Go. Check the vodka." I practically fled to the bar, where Marcus waited with panic in his eyes. What did he say? Is he angry? "Elena, I swear to God, he wants Beluga Gold Line vodka." "We don't have shit. Marcus ran his hands through his hair. "We've got Absolute. Grey Goose. What do we—" "Tell him." I couldn't believe I was about to do this. "I'll tell him." "Are you insane? Do you know who that is?" I didn't. But I could guess. The security. The fear. "Who?" Marcus grabbed my shoulders, lowering his voice to a whisper. "Viktor Volkov. Jesus Christ, Elena. Viktor Volkov is sitting in our restaurant. And he's... He couldn't finish the sentence. The name meant nothing to me, but the fear in Marcus's eyes meant everything. I walked back to the corner booth like I was walking to my execution. Viktor Volkov, because now he had a name, now he was real, hadn't moved. He sat like a king on a throne, one hand resting on the table, the other hidden beneath it. His guards watched me approach with the intensity of men paid to anticipate threats. "Sir." I stopped at a respectful distance. "I apologize, but we don't have Beluga Gold Line. We have—" Then I leave. He started to stand. I don't know what possessed me. Maybe it was the exhaustion. Maybe it was the thought of Marcus's panic, of losing this job I couldn't afford to lose. Maybe it was something deeper, some reckless instinct I didn't know I possessed. I spoke in Russian. "Подождите, пожалуйста. Wait, please." He froze, completely still, like I'd cast a spell. The restaurant held its breath. Slowly, Viktor Volkov turned his head toward me. Those ice-water eyes locked onto mine again, but different this time. Sharper. Dangerous. One of his guards actually reached inside his jacket. "Что ты сказала?" What did you say? My mouth had gone dry, but I couldn't stop. My voice sounded different. Younger, more vulnerable, the language of my grandmother, of childhood, of home. "Я сказала, подождите, пожалуйста. У нас есть Grey Goose. Это хорошая водка. Не белуга, но хорошая." I said, "Wait, please. We have Grey Goose. It's good vodka. Not beluga, but good." Silence. Terrible. Absolute silence. Then Viktor Volkov smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. It was the smile of a predator who just spotted something interesting, something unexpected. His teeth were very white against his tan skin. "Sad," he said softly. "Sit." "Sir, Sad." Firmer now. "Sit." My legs folded before my brain caught up. I sat across from Viktor Volkov, a man whose name made my manager shake with fear, in a corner booth of Antonio's family restaurant. He leaned forward. I could smell that scent again, leather and smoke and danger. "Как тебя зовут?" "What is your name?" "Elena. Elena Sokolova." "Elena." He said it slowly, tasting each syllable. "And you greet me in Russian because..." I switched back to English, aware that everyone was staring. Because you're far from home too, sir, and maybe..." I swallowed hard. "Maybe it's nice to hear your own language sometimes." Something changed in his expression. The predator faded, replaced by something I couldn't name. He studied me for a long moment, taking in my cheap uniform, my tired eyes, my rough hands clutching the menu like a shield. "Elena Sokolova from Volgograd," he said quietly. "Do you know who I am?" Viktor Volkov. The name felt dangerous in my mouth. "And do you know what I am?" I should have said no. Should have played dumb. But those eyes demanded truth. "I can guess, sir." He laughed. Actually laughed. It was a dark sound, rich and unexpected. "She can guess. Brave little waitress can guess." He signaled to one of his guards. "Dmitri, tell the kitchen, everything they have. Best dishes. We eat here tonight." "Sir?" The guard looked confused. "You heard me. And bring proper vodka from the car, the good bottle." "But sir, the restaurant..." Victor's expression shifted from amused to deadly in a heartbeat. Did I stutter, Dmitri? "No, sir. Right away, sir." As the guard hurried away, Victor turned back to me. "You work a double shift, yes? You're tired. Your feet hurt. When did you eat last?" I blinked. "How did you..." "I notice things, Elena. It's how I stay alive." He gestured to the booth. "Sit properly. You'll eat with me." "Sir, I can't. My manager..." "Your manager works for me now. He just doesn't know it yet." Victor pulled out his phone, one of the three, and typed something. "There. Bought. This restaurant is mine. You work for me now. Sit. Eat." The world tilted sideways. You bought the restaurant?" "Why not?" "I was hungry. You were kind." He said it like it was the most natural thing in the world, like people bought restaurants the way others bought coffee. "And I think, Elena Sokolova, that you and I need to talk about Volgograd, about Russia, about why a girl like you is wasting away in a place like this." My hands were shaking. I pressed them flat on the table to hide it. "I don't understand." "You will." He leaned back, that dangerous smile returning. "Tell me, Elena, your grandmother in Volgograd, the one you send money to, what is her name?" My blood turned to ice. "How do you know about my grandmother?" Viktor Volkov's smile widened, and I saw the wolf beneath the man. "Elena, Milaya," he said softly. "Elena, darling, I know everything." The food arrived in waves. I sat frozen in the corner booth while men in suits carried dish after dish from the kitchen. Pasta I'd served 100 times but never tasted. Veal that cost more than my weekly salary. Wine that Marcus kept locked in the back for special occasions that never came. Victor's guard, Dmitri, returned with a bottle that looked like it belonged in a museum. Crystal clear glass, gold lettering in Cyrillic, the vodka inside pure as winter ice. Victor watched me with those pale eyes while his men arranged everything. He hadn't touched his phone again, hadn't looked away. I was pinned beneath his gaze like a butterfly on a collector's board. "Eat," he commanded. "I'm working, sir." "You're sitting with me. That's your work now." He poured vodka into 2 crystal glasses that Dmitri had produced from somewhere. "Besides, I bought the restaurant. I can tell my employees when to take their breaks." "You didn't really buy it." My voice shook. "You were joking." He slid his phone across the table. On the screen was an email confirmation, a wire transfer for $350,000 to Antonio Marchetti, owner of Antonio's family restaurant. Completed 4 minutes ago. The room spun. You're insane, I whispered. Careful, Elena. His voice dropped to something dark and smooth. People who call me insane don't usually live to regret it. I should have been terrified. I was terrified. But underneath the fear was something else. A hysterical laugh building in my chest. This couldn't be real. Men didn't buy restaurants because a waitress spoke Russian to them. Men like Viktor Volkov didn't sit in places like this, didn't drink with girls like me. Why? The word escaped before I could stop it. Why what? Why any of this? The restaurant, the food, I gestured helplessly at everything. I'm nobody. I'm just a waitress who greeted me in Russian, he interrupted, picking up his glass. Do you know how long it's been since someone in this country spoke to me in my own language without wanting something? Without fear? Without calculation? He took a drink, his eyes never leaving mine. 3 years, Elena. 3 years in this cold plastic country where everyone smiles and no one means it. And then you, tired, hungry, invisible little you. You look at me and see another Russian far from home. I didn't mean... No. You didn't mean anything. That's why it matters. He pushed the other glass toward me. Drink. In Russia, we drink when we talk about important things. My hand trembled as I picked up the glass. The vodka was smooth, expensive, nothing like the harsh stuff I'd stolen sips of at my cousin's wedding years ago. It burned down my throat and settled warm in my empty stomach. Victor smiled with approval. Good. Now eat. I took a small bite of pasta, aware that the entire restaurant was watching. Marcus stood behind the bar, his face pale as death. The other waitresses had stopped pretending to work. Even the customers sat frozen, like they'd stumbled into a scene from a movie and weren't sure if they should leave or stay. Your grandmother, Victor said casually, refilling both glasses. Valentina Sokolova, 76 years old, lives on Lenina Street in Volgograd. Heart condition. Needs medication that costs, what, $400 American each month? The pasta turned to ash in my mouth. Stop. Diabetes too. And the building where she lives, the elevator is broken. She climbs 5 flights of stairs every day with a bad hip because the landlord won't fix it. Your mother is dead. Cancer. 6 years ago. Your father died before you were born. You have a cousin, Mikhail, but he's useless. Drinks too much. Hasn't sent money home in 2 years. So it's all on you, isn't it, Elena? All on your tired shoulders. I set down my fork with shaking hands. How do you know all of this? I told you. I know everything. He leaned forward, and I caught that scent again, leather and smoke and something darker. I made a phone call while Dmitri got the vodka. 20 minutes, Elena. That's how long it took to learn everything about you. Rage flared through the fear. You had no right. I had every right. His voice turned to steel. A strange woman speaks to me in Russian in a place I've never been. For all I know, you're FSB, CIA, a trap. So yes, I check. I always check. He picked up a piece of bread, tore it. But you're not a spy. You're just a girl trying to survive. Trying to save her babushka. Drowning slowly in a country that doesn't see you. Tears burned behind my eyes. I refused to let them fall. What do you want from me? Victor's expression softened. Not kind, but less predatory. Want? Nothing. Not what you're thinking. He saw the fear in my face and shook his head. I'm not that kind of man, Elena. I don't take what isn't offered freely. But I am curious. He sipped his vodka. How does a girl from Volgograd end up here? In this place? Wasting away? The American dream, I said bitterly. Work visa. Promises of opportunity. Turned out the opportunity was 18-hour days and an apartment with black mold. And yet you stay. Where else would I go? The words burst out. Back to Russia where there's nothing? Where my grandmother needs medicine I can't afford even there. At least here I can send money. At least here she has a chance. So you sacrifice yourself. Victor studied me like I was a puzzle he was trying to solve. How very Russian of you. We're good at suffering, aren't we? At martyrdom. We wear our pain like medals. Easy to say when you're wearing a suit that costs more than I make in a year. The words were out before I could stop them. I froze, waiting for anger, for violence, for those cold eyes to turn lethal. Instead, Victor laughed. really laughed. It transformed his face, made him look younger, almost human. "There she is," he said with something like approval. "There's the fire. Good. I was starting to think America had beaten it out of you completely." He raised his glass. "To fire, Elena. May it never die." We drank. The restaurant slowly came back to life around us, conversations resuming in hushed whispers. But the corner booth remained our island, separate from the rest of the world. Victor ate with precise economical movements. Everything about him was controlled, measured. Even the way he held his fork spoke of power carefully contained. "Tell me about Volgograd," he said. "What do you miss most?" The question caught me off guard. "What?" "Humor me. What do you miss?" I thought about it. The vodka loosening my tongue, the bread. Real bread from the bakery on the corner, the way snow looks on the Motherland Call statue, the sound of church bells on Sunday mornings. My grandmother's borscht. I smiled despite myself. The way people yell at each other on the street and it doesn't mean anything. Here, everyone's so polite, so fake. I miss the honesty of rudeness. Victor nodded slowly. "Yes." The American smile. All teeth. No soul. He poured more vodka. "I miss the cold. Real cold. Not this weak winter they have here. I miss the darkness. The way night feels in Moscow in December. Heavy. Absolute. I miss drinking with men who don't pretend to be my friend. I miss knowing that when someone wants to kill you, they'll at least tell you to your face first." Sounds like you miss violence. "I miss clarity." He met my eyes. "In Russia, you know where you stand. Here, everything is hidden. Subtle. Passive-aggressive, they call it. I prefer active-aggressive, cleaner that way." "Is that what you do?" I shouldn't have asked. Didn't want to know. But the vodka had stripped away my self-preservation. Active aggression? Victor's smile was dangerous, among other things. But we're not talking about me, Elena. We're talking about you. About how to fix your situation. You can't fix my situation, can't I? He pulled out his phone, a different one this time, and typed something. There. Done. What's done? Check your bank account. With trembling fingers, I pulled out my own phone. A cracked, outdated model held together with a phone case I'd bought at a gas station. I opened my banking app, entered my password, and stared at the screen. The number didn't make sense. It was too big. Too many zeros. What did you do? My voice came out strangled. $50,000. Enough to cover your grandmother's medication for years. Enough to fix her elevator. Enough to give you breathing room. He said it casually, like he'd bought me coffee. Consider it a thank you. For what? Speaking Russian to you? For reminding me that kindness still exists. For seeing a man instead of a monster. For being brave when you should have been smart and kept your mouth shut. He leaned back. Also, you're fired from this restaurant. My heart stopped. What? I can't have you working here anymore. The hours are terrible, the pay is worse, and frankly, the food isn't good enough for my waitress. He said it with such absolute authority that I almost missed the possessive. My waitress. You'll work for me instead. I don't understand. Tomorrow. 9 a.m. This address. He handed me a card, heavy black paper with silver embossed lettering, an address in the city's most expensive district. My accountant needs an assistant who speaks Russian. You're qualified. I'm not qualified for anything. I barely finished high school. You speak fluent Russian and English. You're good with people. You notice things. And you need money. That's all the qualification I require. His tone left no room for argument. The salary is $120,000 a year. Health insurance, paid vacation. You'll have an apartment nearby, rent-free. The room tilted. This isn't real. None of this is real. It's very real, Elena, and you'll take it because the alternative is going back to that apartment with black mold and working yourself to death for people who don't even see you. He stood, and his guards immediately moved closer. 9 a.m. Don't be late. I don't tolerate tardiness. He started to walk away, and panic seized me. Wait! I stood so fast I knocked into the table. You can't just, this is insane. Victor turned back. The restaurant fell silent again. He walked back to me slowly, deliberately, until he stood close enough that I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. close enough that I could feel the heat radiating off his body, close enough to see the faint scar on his jaw, the silver in his dark hair, the absolute certainty in his gaze. Listen carefully, Elena Sokolova. His voice was soft, deadly. In Russia, we have a saying, don't refuse a gift from a wolf. The wolf might get insulted, and insulted wolves are very dangerous. He reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear, a gesture so gentle it sent shivers down my spine. I'm offering you a chance, a way out. Take it, or don't. But if you refuse, you'll never see me again, and you'll spend the rest of your life wondering what might have been. Why me? I whispered. Why are you doing this? His expression softened in a way that made him look almost human, almost vulnerable. Because 3 years ago I had a daughter. She would have been your age now, and she died because I couldn't protect her from the life I'd built. His jaw tightened. When I look at you, tired, brave, stupid little Elena who speaks Russian to dangerous men, I see what she might have become, and I think maybe I can protect you at least. Maybe I can do one good thing in my terrible life. My breath caught. I'm not your daughter. No, you're not. The vulnerability vanished, replaced by that cold authority. But you could be under my protection. In my world, that means something. It means no one touches you, no one hurts you, no one makes you invisible ever again. He stepped back. 9 a.m., Elena. Choose carefully. He walked out, his guards flanking him. Through the window, I watched them climb into a massive black SUV with tinted windows, the kind that screamed money and danger in equal measure. The vehicle pulled away, and just like that, Viktor Volkov was gone. I stood in the middle of Antonio's family restaurant, his restaurant now, holding a business card that felt like it was burning my fingers. Marcus appeared at my elbow, his face pale and sweating. Elena. What the fuck just happened? What did you do? I looked down at my phone, at the $50,000 that hadn't been there an hour ago, at the card with the address in silver ink, at my reflection in the window, still in my cheap uniform, still exhausted, still nobody. But maybe not invisible anymore. Not to him. I think, I said slowly, I just made a deal with the devil. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on my lumpy mattress in my studio apartment, staring at the black business card like it might explode. Outside, my neighbors fought. The usual screaming match about money, about infidelity, about all the ways their lives had gone wrong. The ceiling leaked in the corner, a steady drip into the bucket I'd placed there weeks ago. $50,000 sat in my bank account. I'd checked 17 times, convinced it would disappear, convinced I'd imagined everything. But the money was real. The card was real, and somewhere in this city, Viktor Volkov was real too. At 3 a.m., I called my grandmother. Allo? Her voice was thick with sleep, confused. In Volgograd, it was already afternoon. Babushka, it's me. Lenushka? She coughed, that wet, terrible cough that had been getting worse. Why are you calling? Is something wrong? Did something happen? No, nothing's wrong. I pressed my hand to my mouth, fighting tears. I just wanted to hear your voice. You sound strange, Devichka moya. What's happened? I couldn't tell her. Couldn't explain that a man I'd just met had bought a restaurant on a whim, had invaded my privacy, had offered me a life I couldn't quite believe in. She'd think I was losing my mind. Maybe I was. I got a new job, I said instead. A better one, with health insurance. I'll be able to send more money. Elena, no. You work too hard already. You need to... I need you to be okay, babushka. That's what I need. My voice cracked. Please, let me do this. Let me take care of you. She was quiet for a long moment, then softly. Your mother would be so proud of you, so proud. After we hung up, I cried into my pillow until my throat was raw. At 7 a.m., I showered in water that never quite got hot enough. I put on my only decent outfit, a black skirt and white blouse I'd bought at a thrift store for a job interview that had gone nowhere. I looked at myself in the cracked mirror and saw a stranger, someone pretending to be professional. Pretending to be someone Viktor Volkov might actually hire. The address on the card led me to a building I'd never dared enter. All glass and steel, towering over the city like a monument to wealth. A doorman in a uniform nicer than anything I owned opened the door before I could reach for the handle. "Miss Sokolova?" He knew my name. Of course he knew my name. "Mr. Volkov is expecting you. 20th floor." The elevator was mirrored, and I watched my reflection multiply into infinity. Tired girl, scared girl, girl who didn't belong. My hands shook as I pressed the button. The 20th floor opened into a reception area that looked like something from a magazine. White marble, modern furniture, abstract art that probably cost more than my grandmother's apartment. A woman sat behind a sleek desk. Blonde, beautiful, wearing designer clothes, and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Elena Sokolova? Her accent was Russian too, but polished. Educated. Everything I wasn't. "This way." She led me down a hallway lined with closed doors. I could hear voices, some in English, some in Russian. Phones ringing, the hum of expensive technology. This was a real business, I realized. Whatever Victor did, it wasn't just violence and vodka. It was this too. Legitimate. Or at least disguised as legitimate. Mr. Volkov's office. The blonde knocked twice, then opened the door without waiting for an answer. "She's here." Victor sat behind a massive desk, talking on the phone in rapid Russian. He looked different in daylight, no less dangerous, but more human somehow. He wore another black suit, his hair perfectly styled, a cup of coffee steaming at his elbow. When he saw me, he held up one finger. "Wait." I stood in the doorway, heart hammering, while he finished his conversation. The office was enormous, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, leather furniture, bookshelves filled with volumes in multiple languages. But what caught my attention was the photograph on his desk. A girl. Teenager. Maybe 16 or 17. Dark hair, bright smile, holding a violin. She looked happy, alive, loved. My Anya. Victor's voice startled me. He'd ended his call without me noticing. She played beautifully. Wanted to study at Juilliard. His expression was carefully blank. "Sit, Elena." I sat in one of the leather chairs facing his desk, feeling small and out of place. "You came," he said, almost like he was surprised. "You told me to. I told you many things last night. I wasn't sure you'd believe any of them." He leaned back, studying me with those pale eyes. "Did you sleep?" "No." "Smart. You shouldn't sleep easy after making deals with men like me." He opened a folder on his desk. "But the deal is made. The money is in your account. Now we discuss terms. Your employment, your responsibilities, your boundaries." He said the last word carefully. "I told you last night, I don't take what isn't offered freely. But I need you to understand what working for me means. The rules you'll need to follow, the risks you'll need to accept." My mouth went dry. "What risks?" Victor stood and walked to the windows, hands in his pockets. Against the bright sky, he was a dark silhouette. Powerful, controlled, dangerous. "I'm not a good man, Elena. I think you know this already. The things I do, the business I run, some of it is legal. Most of it exists in the gray spaces. And some," he turned to face me, "some of it is very illegal, very dangerous. The kind of dangerous that gets people killed. Then why would you bring me into it? Because I can protect you. Because you'll work for my accountant, handling legitimate business. You won't touch anything criminal. You won't see anything you shouldn't see. You'll be clean." He walked back to the desk. "But you need to understand, by working for me, by accepting my protection, you become associated with me. And I have enemies, Elena, powerful enemies. People who would hurt you just to hurt me." "Then this is insane. I should leave." You should, he agreed. "But you won't. Because you're drowning, and I'm offering you a rope. And we both know desperate people don't ask questions about who's holding the other end." He was right. God help me. He was right. "What do you want from me?" I asked again. "Really?" Victor sat on the edge of his desk, close enough that I could smell that scent. Leather and smoke. "Honestly, I'm not entirely sure yet. I look at you, and I see Anya. I see what she might have become if she'd lived. And I want to protect that, to protect you." He paused. "But I'm also a selfish man, a possessive man. I don't like sharing what's mine, and from the moment you spoke to me in Russian, something in me said mine. Do you understand? I should have run. Every instinct screamed at me to run. I'm not yours, I whispered. No, not yet. Maybe not ever. His eyes never left mine. But you're under my protection now. That means certain rules. You don't go anywhere without telling my people where you are. You don't talk to anyone about what you see or hear in this office. You don't date anyone without my approval. I need to vet them. Make sure they're not using you to get to me. You can't control my life like that. I can. And I will, for your own safety. His voice hardened. 2 months ago, one of my accountants was kidnapped by a rival organization. They tortured him for information. Sent me his fingers one by one. By the time we found him, he was dead. I won't let that happen to you. The room spun. This is insane. This whole thing is insane. Yes. Victor reached out and lifted my chin, forcing me to meet his eyes. His touch was gentle, but I felt the strength beneath it, the leashed violence. But you're here anyway. Why is that, Elena? The money. My grandmother needs... Bullshit. The word cracked like a whip. I gave you $50,000. You could take it and run. Get a different job. Never see me again. But you're here, in my office, looking at me with those big, scared eyes while something inside you wonders what it would be like to be protected by a monster. His thumb brushed my jaw. So tell me the truth. Why are you here? The truth clawed its way up my throat. Because I'm tired of being invisible. Because for 3 years, I've worked myself to death. And no one has seen me. No one has cared. And then you. You bought a restaurant because I spoke Russian to you. You learned everything about my life in 20 minutes. You looked at me like I mattered. Tears burned my eyes. Even if it's dangerous. Even if it's wrong. At least it's something. At least someone sees me. Victor's expression shifted, something dark and satisfied crossing his features. There it is. The truth. He released my chin and straightened. Good. We can work with truth. Lies would have gotten you killed. He returned to his chair and pulled out a contract. This is your employment agreement. Salary, benefits, responsibilities, all legal and documented. You'll start today. My accountant, Mikhail, will train you. You'll have an apartment by the end of the week. I'm having one prepared. And you'll have a driver. Alexei, former Spetsnaz. Very loyal. Very dangerous. He'll take you anywhere you need to go. I don't need a driver. You do now. You work for me. You follow my rules. He pushed the contract across the desk with a pen. Sign it, Elena. Make it official. I stared at the papers. This was it. The moment that would change everything. Once I signed, there was no going back. My hand shook as I picked up the pen. One more thing, Victor said quietly. Before you sign. Look at me. I looked up. He leaned forward, elbows on the desk, that intense gaze pinning me in place. I meant what I said last night. I'm not a good man. I've killed people, Elena. I've hurt people. I've done things that would make you sick if you knew the details. And if you stay in my world, you'll see pieces of that darkness. You'll carry the weight of knowing what I am. He paused. But I give you my word, on Anya's memory, on everything I hold sacred, I will never hurt you. I will protect you with everything I have. And anyone who tries to touch you will die screaming. Do you believe me? I should have said no. Should have run. Should have chosen safety over this beautiful, terrible danger. I believe you, I whispered. Then sign. I signed my name, Elena Sokolova, in shaky script. Victor took the contract, examined it, then smiled. That predator's smile that made my stomach flip. Welcome to my world, Milaya. He pressed a button on his desk. Dmitri, bring her to Mikhail, and have Alexei bring the car around. We'll need to take Miss Sokolova shopping for appropriate work clothes. That's not necessary, I protested. You work for me now. You'll dress like it. He stood, dismissing me. Go, learn your job. Tonight we'll have dinner. Somewhere nice. I want to celebrate my new assistant. Dmitri appeared in the doorway, the same guard from last night. He gestured for me to follow. At the door, I looked back. Victor had returned to his phone calls, already moving on to the next task. But before I left, he glanced up, and for just a moment, his expression softened. Elena, he called. Thank you for being brave enough to stay. Then the door closed, and I was led deeper into Victor Volkov's world. A world of expensive suits and hidden danger, of protection and possession, of being seen so completely that I'd never be invisible again, even if it destroyed me. 3 weeks changed everything. Mikhail, the accountant, was a nervous man in his 50s who jumped every time Victor walked past. He taught me spreadsheets, accounts, how to track legitimate business expenses for the import-export company that served as Victor's front. I learned quickly, partly because I was good with numbers, mostly because I was terrified of disappointing Victor. The apartment he'd arranged was in a building 2 blocks from his office, 15th floor, 1 bedroom, floor-to-ceiling windows with a view of the city. It had a kitchen with appliances that actually worked, a bathroom without mold, a bed that didn't sag in the middle. The first night, I'd cried myself to sleep in sheets that smelled like lavender instead of mildew. Alexei, my driver, was a mountain of a man with scarred knuckles and eyes that saw everything. He drove a black Mercedes and waited outside every building I entered. At first, I'd tried to insist I could take the bus, could walk. He'd looked at me like I'd suggested flying to the moon. Mr. Volkov's orders was all he ever said. Victor himself was a constant hovering presence. He didn't summon me to his office often, maybe once a day, always with legitimate questions about accounts or expenses. But I felt him watching, felt his protection like a heavy coat I couldn't remove. True to his word, he'd taken me shopping that first day, to stores I'd never dared enter, where saleswomen brought champagne and clothes that cost more than my old monthly rent. He'd sat in a leather chair, making phone calls in Russian while I tried on outfit after outfit. Every time I emerged from the dressing room, his eyes would track over me with an intensity that made my skin flush. That one, he'd say. Or, no, too plain. She needs something that shows she's under my protection. I'd wanted to argue, wanted to say I could dress myself. But the truth was, I liked it. Liked being seen, being claimed, being important enough to matter. We had dinner twice a week, always somewhere expensive, always with Dmitri and another guard at a nearby table. Victor would ask about my day, about my grandmother, who I'd finally told about the money, who'd cried and called me her miracle. He told me stories about Russia, about Moscow winters and Black Sea summers, about a life before this one. He never talked about Anya, never explained how she died, but sometimes, when he looked at me, I saw grief behind those cold eyes. Saw the father he'd been, the father he'd failed to be, and slowly, terrifyingly, I was getting used to it, to the luxury, to the protection, to Victor's possessive attention. I was getting comfortable in a cage I hadn't realized I'd entered. Then everything shattered on a Tuesday afternoon. I was in the office, working through a stack of invoices, when raised voices echoed from Victor's office. Angry voices, in Russian. «Не твое дело, кто я трахаю». Not your business who I fuck, I froze. That wasn't Victor's voice. Someone else, someone younger. «Все, что ты делаешь, это мое дело». Victor's voice, cold and lethal. Everything you do is my business. Я не ребенок, мне 28 лет. I'm not a child, I'm 28 years old. A crash, glass breaking, then Victor's voice, so soft it was more terrifying than screaming. Ты станешь делать, что я скажу, или я сломаю каждую кость в его теле. You'll do as I say, or I'll break every bone in his body. The door slammed open. A man stormed out, tall, dark-haired, wearing an expensive suit with fury radiating off him. He was handsome in a brutal way, with Victor's pale eyes and sharp jaw. Family. Had to be family. He saw me staring and stopped. His expression shifted from anger to something calculating. And who the fuck are you? He spoke in English, his accent thick. I work here. I'm Mr. Volkov's papa's new toy? He laughed, cruel and sharp. Let me guess. Russian girl, young, pretty, probably grateful. He has a type. He walked closer, invading my space. I'm Alexei, Victor's son, and I'm wondering how long before you're warming his bed instead of pushing papers. It's not like that, I stammered. I'm just his assistant. Sure you are. He leaned in, and I could smell alcohol on his breath at 2 p.m. Here's some advice, sweetheart. Run. My father destroys everything he touches. Ask my mother. Oh, wait, you can't. She's dead. Ask my sister. Oh, she's dead too. So maybe just run before you're the next corpse in his collection. Alexei. Victor's voice cut through the office like a knife. He stood in his doorway, perfectly calm, perfectly controlled. But his eyes promised murder. Leave. Now. Or what? You'll kill me too? Alexei laughed bitterly. I'm your son, Papa. Your heir. You need me. I need you sober and obedient. You're neither. Victor's jaw tightened. Get out. Go sleep it off. We'll discuss your behavior when you're capable of rational thought. Fuck you. Alexei stormed toward the elevator. Victor watched him go, his expression unreadable. Then he turned those pale eyes on me. My office. Now. I followed on shaking legs. Inside, the office looked like a war zone. Broken glass from a tumbler, papers scattered across the floor, a chair overturned. Victor's knuckles were bloody. Sit, he commanded, moving to a bar cart and pouring himself vodka. I sat, my heart racing. Is it true? About your wife? Your daughter? He drank the vodka in one swallow. What did my son tell you? That they're dead? That you destroy everything you touch? Victor poured another glass, staring at the amber liquid. My wife, Irina, died 6 years ago. Cancer. I couldn't save her. All my money, all my power, and I couldn't stop the cells from eating her alive. His voice was flat, emotionless. Anya died 3 years ago. A rival organization kidnapped her. Tried to use her as leverage. I was supposed to give them territory, money, weapons. I refused. Thought I could negotiate. Thought they were bluffing. He drained the second glass. They weren't bluffing. They sent her back to me in pieces. My stomach lurched. Oh God. I killed them all. Every single person involved. Their families, too. Their friends. Anyone who knew and didn't stop it. He turned to face me and his eyes were empty. Dead. Alexei blamed me. Still blames me. He's right to. I chose power over my daughter's life. I was too proud, too stubborn, too convinced of my own invincibility, and she paid the price. Victor, that's why I protect you so fiercely, Elena. Why I smother you with guards and rules and control. Because I failed once. I won't fail again. He set down his glass. But Alexei is right about one thing. I do destroy what I touch. And eventually, I'll probably destroy you too. I stood, my legs unsteady. Then let me go. Let me walk away before that happens. No. The word was absolute, final. You're mine now, under my protection, and I don't let go of what's mine. I'm not a possession. Aren't you? He moved closer, that dangerous grace in every step. I bought you a new life, Elena, new apartment, new identity. I put money in your account and guards at your door. I think about you constantly, where you are, what you're doing, who you're talking to. I lie awake at night imagining all the ways I could keep you safe, keep you close, keep you mine. He stood so close I could feel the heat radiating off him. So tell me, Milea, if you're not mine, why haven't you run? Why do you come to dinner when I call? Why do you look at me like you're waiting for something? I don't. You do. His hand cupped my face, thumb brushing my cheekbone. You look at me and see danger and protection all mixed together. You're grateful and terrified in equal measure. And some small part of you, the part that's tired of being invisible, tired of being weak, that part wants to belong to someone powerful enough to keep you safe. Tears slipped down my cheeks. That's not fair. Life isn't fair, Elena. If it was, you wouldn't be here. You'd be in Russia with your grandmother, living a simple life. But life put you in my path, put you in that restaurant on that night. And now we're here. His other hand found my waist, pulling me closer. Tell me to stop. Tell me you want to leave and I'll arrange it. New city, new job, enough money to start over. I'll let you go. Will you? I looked up at him, searching those cold eyes for truth. Or will you just follow me, watch me from the shadows? Because that's what you do, isn't it? You don't let go. A smile ghosted across his lips. You're learning. Good. His thumb traced my lower lip. So what will it be? Do you stay? Or do I spend the rest of my life watching you from afar, making sure you're safe while knowing I can never touch you again? My breath came in short gasps. His touch was fire, his proximity overwhelming. Every instinct screamed danger. But underneath the fear was something else. Something dark and hungry that had been growing since that first night in the restaurant. "Why me?" I whispered. "Really? Is it just because I remind you of Anya?" "At first, maybe. But now?" His forehead pressed against mine. "Now it's because you're brave and foolish. Because you speak to me like I'm human instead of a monster. Because when you look at me, I feel like maybe I can be more than the sum of my sins." His voice dropped. "And because when I imagine my future, you're in it. Every version, every possibility. You're there. That's obsession, not love. I never said I loved you, Elena. I'm not capable of that anymore, but I can protect you, provide for you, give you everything you've ever needed and things you didn't know you wanted. I can make you the center of my world, the thing I guard more fiercely than my own life." His lips brushed my temple. "Isn't that better than love? More honest? More real?" It should have repulsed me, should have sent me running, but my hands were fisting in his jacket, pulling him closer instead of pushing away. "This is insane," I breathed. "Yes." His lips trailed down my jaw. "But you're still here." The door burst open. We sprang apart. Dmitri stood in the doorway, his face pale, speaking rapid Russian. "Boss, we have a problem. The Kozlov brothers. They're here, in the building. They brought men." Victor's entire demeanor changed, from intense lover to cold killer in a heartbeat. "How many?" "At least 15. They're coming up the stairs, all entrances." "Elena." Victor grabbed my arms, his grip bruising. "Listen carefully. There's a panic room behind that bookshelf. Dmitri will take you there. You'll stay inside until I come for you. Do not open the door for anyone else. Do you understand? What's happening? Who are the Kozlov brothers? Men who want me dead. Who will use you to get to me if they find you." He pushed me toward Dmitri. "Go. Now, and Elena." He pulled me back for one brief moment, his lips crushing against mine in a kiss that tasted like vodka and desperation. "Don't die in there. I'm not done with you yet." Then Dmitri was pulling me away, shoving the bookshelf aside to reveal a hidden door. Gunfire erupted somewhere below. Shouting, screaming. The panic room was small, windowless, with monitors showing security feeds. Dmitri locked me inside. "Don't open this door," he commanded. "No matter what you hear." Then he was gone, and I was alone in the dark, watching Victor prepare for war on grainy security footage. Watching the man who'd claimed me, protected me, obsessed over me, pick up a gun with the ease of long practice and walk toward violence like he was coming home. The monitors showed everything. I watched Victor move through the office like death incarnate, calm, precise, lethal. The Kozlov brothers' men poured through the stairwell doors, at least a dozen of them with guns drawn. But Victor had been preparing for this. His men emerged from offices I'd thought were empty, taking positions with military efficiency. The first gunshot made me flinch so hard, I hit my head on the panic room wall. Then it was chaos. Muzzle flashes on the security feeds, bodies dropping. I covered my mouth to keep from screaming as I watched Dmitri take 3 men down with brutal efficiency. Watched Alexei, drunk, angry Alexei, appear from somewhere with a gun in each hand, fighting beside his father like he'd been born for it. Maybe he had been. Victor didn't hide, didn't take cover. He walked through the gunfire like it couldn't touch him. And maybe it couldn't. He moved with a terrible grace, each shot precise. Calculated. A man's head snapped back, another crumpled, clutching his throat. Victor's face remained expressionless. The face of a man who'd done this 1,000 times before. This was who he really was, not the man who bought me dinner, who touched me gently, who spoke about protecting me. This was the monster beneath the expensive suits. The killer. The destroyer of everything he touched. I should have been horrified, should have been planning my escape, but all I could think was, he's doing this to protect me. The fight lasted 7 minutes. 7 minutes that felt like hours. When it ended, 12 bodies littered the office. Victor's men had casualties too. I counted 3 down. maybe dead, maybe just wounded. But Victor stood untouched, speaking rapid Russian into his phone while Alexei leaned against a desk, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. Then Victor's eyes found the camera. Found me. He said something to Dmitri, who nodded and headed toward the panic room. The lock clicked. The door opened. Dmitri stood there, splattered with blood that wasn't his expression grim. "Boss wants you," was all he said. I stepped out on shaking legs. The office reeked of gunpowder and copper. Don't look at the bodies, I told myself. Don't look at their faces. Don't think about the fact that they were alive 7 minutes ago. But I looked anyway. Couldn't help it. Young men, mostly. One couldn't have been older than 25. His eyes were still open, staring at nothing. Victor stood by his desk, reloading his gun with mechanical precision. His suit was ruined, torn, bloody, but his hands were steady. When he saw me, something flickered in those pale eyes. "You're okay," he said. Not a question, a statement of fact. "You killed them all." "Not all. 2 got away. They'll tell the Kozlov brothers what happened here, that I'm not to be fucked with." He set down the gun and walked toward me. "Are you going to faint?" "No." "Good. I hate hysterical women." He cupped my face, examining me like I might have been injured despite being locked in the panic room. "You watched?" "The monitors. Then you saw what I am, what I do." His thumb brushed my cheekbone. "And you're still standing here. Where else would I go? There are bodies blocking the elevator." A laugh escaped him. Dark, surprised. "Even now you have fire. Remarkable." He pulled me closer and I could smell blood on him. Death on him. "I told you I destroy everything I touch, Elena. I told you to run, but you didn't. And now you're part of this, part of my world. There's no going back. I know. Do you? Do you understand what it means?" His grip tightened. "The Kozlov brothers won't stop. They want my territory, my business, my life. And now they know about you. They saw you on the security footage before I killed their men. They know you matter to me, which means they'll come for you." My blood turned to ice. "Then let me go. Send me away where they can't find me." "No." The word was absolute. "You're safer with me. Under my protection. They know now. Anyone who touches you dies. I'll make an example so brutal, so complete, that no one will dare try again. You're talking about murder. I'm talking about survival, about protecting what's mine." He released me and turned to Alexei, who was being bandaged by one of the men. "You fought well today." Alexei looked up, surprise crossing his face. "You noticed." "I always notice." Victor's voice softened fractionally. "You're my son, my heir. I've been hard on you because I need you strong, need you ready for this life. But today, you proved yourself. I'm proud of you." Something in Alexei's expression cracked. Pain, relief, desperate need for approval. "Papa, we'll talk later. First, we clean this up." Victor turned back to me. "Dmitri will take you home. Pack a bag. You're moving into my apartment tonight. I need you where I can protect you properly." "Your apartment?" "Victor, that's not a request, Elena. Not anymore." His eyes were hard. "You wanted to be seen? To matter? Congratulations. You matter so much that men just died because of you. You matter so much that I killed 12 people without hesitation to keep you safe. You matter so much that I'm moving you into my home, into my bed, into my life in every way that counts." He leaned in close. "So you'll do as I say. You'll move into my apartment. You'll accept my protection. And you'll stop pretending you don't want this. The danger, the intensity, the absolute certainty that someone would burn the world down to keep you safe." My breath came in short gasps. "This is insane. You keep saying that, yet you keep staying." His lips brushed my ear. "Maybe you're as crazy as I am, Milaya. Maybe we deserve each other." Dmitri appeared at my elbow. "Boss, we should move her. Police will be here soon." "Go," Victor commanded. "I'll handle this. I'll see you tonight." I let Dmitri lead me away, past the bodies, past the blood, past the evidence of Victor's capacity for violence. In the elevator, I caught sight of my reflection, pale, shaking, eyes too wide. still wearing the expensive clothes he'd bought me, still under his protection, still his. Alexei brought me to Victor's apartment 3 hours later. It was a penthouse. Of course it was. With floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the entire city. The decor was masculine, expensive, surprisingly tasteful. Black leather and dark wood, modern art, a kitchen that looked barely used, and photographs. Everywhere, photographs. Anya playing violin, Anya laughing at the camera, Anya with Victor, both of them smiling, him looking younger, almost happy. A shrine to the daughter he couldn't save. He keeps her room exactly as it was, Alexei said quietly, appearing beside me. He'd cleaned up, changed clothes, but the cut on his forehead was still visible. Third door on the left. Don't go in there unless you want to see him break down completely. Why are you telling me this? Because you're going to be part of this family now, whether you want to or not. Papa doesn't let go of what he claims. Alexei studied me. I was drunk earlier, and angry, and I said things I shouldn't have, but I meant what I said about him destroying everything. He will, Elena. Not on purpose. Just because it's who he is. Then why are you still here? Because he's my father. Because I love him despite everything. And because sometimes the cage is more comfortable than freedom. He headed toward the door. Your room is the master suite. He'll be here late. Has to deal with the police, the cleanup, the Kozlov brothers' retaliation. Make yourself comfortable. There's food in the kitchen, clothes in the closet that should fit. He had them brought in earlier today. Today, before the attack. Alexei smiled grimly. He was always going to move you in, Elena. The attack just gave him an excuse. Papa plans everything. After he left, I wandered through the apartment like a ghost. The master suite was enormous. A king-sized bed, another set of windows, a bathroom with a shower big enough for 4 people. The closet held women's clothes. All my size, all expensive. He'd planned this. Planned me. I should have run. Should have grabbed money and disappeared while I could. Instead, I showered. Changed into silk pajamas I found in a drawer. Sat on the bed that smelled like him. Leather and smoke. And waited. Victor arrived at 2 a.m. I heard the door open. Heard his footsteps. Heard him pause outside the bedroom. When he entered, he'd showered too, changed into black pants and a white shirt. His hair was still damp. The knuckles of his right hand were bandaged. You stayed, he said softly. Did I have a choice? You always have a choice, Elena. He sat on the edge of the bed, keeping distance between us. You could have left while I dealt with the aftermath. Could have run to the police, told them everything, destroyed me, but you stayed. Why? I thought about lying, about self-preservation, about all the reasons I should have said anything other than the truth. Because when I watched you fight today, when I saw you kill those men without hesitation, all I could think was that you did it for me, to protect me. And no one has ever, my voice cracked, no one has ever cared enough to kill for me before. Victor's expression softened. That's not love, Elena. That's obsession, possession. I told you, I can't love anymore. I used up all my love on Irina and Anya. But I can give you this. Protection. Safety. A life where you'll never be invisible again. Never be hungry. Never be alone. I can make you the center of my world. And I can destroy anyone who tries to take you from me. Is that enough? I should have said no. Should have demanded love, or at least the possibility of it, but I'd been invisible for so long. And being seen, even by a monster, felt like light after years of darkness. Yes, I whispered. It's enough. Victor moved then, closing the distance between us. His kiss was gentle this time, not desperate like in the office, but claiming. Possessive. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against mine. You're mine now, Elena Sokolova. In every way that matters, I'll protect you, provide for you, keep you safe from the world and from myself if I can. But I won't let you go. Not ever. Do you understand? Yes. Say it. Say you're mine. I'm yours. The words felt like surrender and salvation all at once. We didn't make love that night. Victor just held me, His body curled around mine like he could shield me from the world through proximity alone. His hand rested over my heart, feeling it beat, reassuring himself I was alive, safe. "I won't lose you," he murmured into my hair. "Not like I lost Anya. I'll be smarter this time, more careful. I'll kill anyone who even looks at you wrong." "That's not healthy, Victor. I never claimed to be healthy, Melia. Just honest." His arm tightened around me. "Sleep. Tomorrow, we deal with the Kozlov brothers. We make it clear what happens to people who threaten what's mine, and then we build a life. A strange, dangerous, probably doomed life. But ours." I closed my eyes, listening to his heartbeat behind me. Steady, strong, alive. This wasn't the fairy tale I'd imagined as a girl in Volgograd. There was no prince, no happy ending, no love that conquered all, just a monster, and the girl he'd claimed, finding shelter in each other's darkness. But as I drifted off to sleep in Viktor Volkov's arms, in his bed, in his life, I realized something. Maybe I didn't need a fairy tale. Maybe I just needed to be seen, to matter. To belong to someone who would burn the world down before letting me slip back into invisibility, even if it meant living in a cage. Even if it meant loving, or being loved by, a monster. Even if it destroyed me in the end. At least I'd be seen while I burned. 3 months later, I stood beside Victor at a charity gala, wearing a dress that cost more than my old apartment's yearly rent. His hand never left my waist, possessive, protective, claiming me in front of everyone who mattered in his world. The Kozlov brothers were gone. Victor had made good on his promise. The example he'd made was so brutal that even his enemies whispered about it in hushed, terrified tones. I'd met his associates, his allies, his family. Alexei had warmed to me, started calling me little sister, with genuine affection. My grandmother had enough money for the rest of her life. Her building had a new elevator, and she video called me weekly, so proud of her granddaughter who'd made it in America. I was Viktor Volkov's woman. Everyone knew it. Everyone feared me by extension. I should have been miserable, should have felt trapped. Instead, as Victor leaned down to whisper in Russian, "Ready to go home, Milia moya?" I smiled. Because home meant his penthouse, his bed, his arms around me, his obsessive protection and possessive claiming. It meant being seen, being valued, being someone who mattered. "Yes," I whispered back. "Take me home." And as we left together, Victor's hand firm on my waist, his guards surrounding us, his eyes promising violence to anyone who dared threaten his claim. I realized I'd made my choice that first night in the restaurant, when I'd greeted him in Russian, when I'd seen the monster and spoken to him like he was human, when I'd chosen to be visible, no matter the cost. This was my life now. Strange, dangerous, probably doomed. But mine, completely, utterly mine, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.